Hey guys. So I'm gonna bring this up, and it's very important because not only did I catch this with myself, but I also caught this very important in an interview with Abigail Hernandez speaking to the news about her 9-month kidnapping. Now, one of the things really focused on with Abigail is she was a true Christian woman, girl, 15 years old, but she stated in the interview that if she spoke with Nathaniel to let her go or got to know him, she would get her freedom back. So this woman survived all of this. Nathaniel got to talk with her and somewhat connect with her and dropped her off in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire, and she walked back home. But what I say, was it right for him to? Not at all. He's in prison for what he did, and obviously he would be anyway. It's a real impactful story that talks about a woman that is 15 years old, just getting out of school. A man pulls up to the school and offers to give her a ride to her house, not knowing who Nathaniel was. Um, but she gets in and gets a gun pointed to her. To put her head down and to not talk. So Nathaniel brings her in this shed or store, like big metal shipping container. And within within Daniel's or Nathaniel's home, he had a bunch of firearms. One of the many important things is Nathaniel was not a good man, because he believed with all the stuff going on, it was objected, to him because he had different opinions, different thoughts about the society. But one of the many things in that influenced Nathaniel's violence was reading these books from Russia. And one of them talked about the political term of objective, or of, I can't remember the book, but it was written by a Russian author. And it had a lot of objective chapters in there about that it's okay to, instead of have freedom or let somebody have their freedom, it's okay to have a gun. But it is a girl who deserves freedom rather than having an F 150 pointed at her in a moving car. Actually, it was a handgun, so I don't think an F 150 is a handgun. I have to know my guns, but F 150 firearm. Is there a firearm? Actually, no, an F 150 is a vehicle, not a fire. But I'm pretty sure, is it? I think it's a firearm too. Hang on, let's double check. So it's firearm storage and mounting options. Okay. So it is. So so it's a truck. That's what my dad has, but they have places where you can store firearms. But he had a handgun in the F-150 holster, but took the gun out and pointed it at Abigail in the back seat. But this guy was quite the gun collector. He collected a lot of guns. Um, I will say, when I state kidnap, for me, kidnapping is through violence, but you can also have the definition as fearing somebody's. For me, I will say I fear of getting kidnapped with not having my freedom. Meaning that the more people that can hold me here home, the less freedom I have. And I know I have a hard time advocating for that, but I try my best to get out of things or situations I don't feel comfortable being in, as we all do. And right now, I know I'm not, especially on my road, I feel like I'm not in a safe environment, especially seeing people going down my road with no permissions of taking pictures of homes and nobody's house on my road on the market to be sold. So you can ignore the negativity, and I get people say don't think about it, don't talk about it. Well, if it's happening right in front of your eyes, I'm trying not to focus on, I know, but that's where my freedom, that's where I don't want to have kidnapping. Seeing neighbors getting kidnapped, seeing myself get kidnapped over unfortunate events. I would love to have freedom. Freedom of having friendships, maybe even more controllable family relationships with certain family members, but my wall was never broken to begin with. It wasn't shattered. It needed warmth. And I advocated myself just a few minutes ago. I talked to my mom about possibly doing a double date thing with me and my significant other and her two neighbors that live next door to her in her apartment. But I had to have, obviously, my mom's approval with that, because I know as a mother and as somebody that has been with me for my whole life, through my whole life, is uncomfortable with that. Like, and that's the thing, is I never want to break my mother's trust, and I would never do that, because she's the parent that really has supported me and guided me and loved me through all my life. Through the day I came out of her stomach. But there's a difference between kidnapping somebody with wanting them to stay forever, like my mom, and having, I mean, the thing is, for me, it's hard to have, I mean, now it's like I have to kind of like switch back and forth. I want to spend time with my mom, but I know I want to have at least more opportunity to spend with my significant other. And the most challenging I found in this relationship is the distance to do that. I want to meet her friends. I want to meet her neighbors, because I also, a big thing is I'm looking for friendships. I'm looking for people. I'm looking to be accepted. I'm looking for acceptance and I'm looking for true acceptance. I'm not looking to feel depressed or hopeless anymore. I'm not looking to feel depressed and so into myself that it's going to throw others away from being with me. Because typically, so this was something I had heard from the support group the other night. Someone had said, or no, I actually get this a lot from people who, like, are you supposed to take care of me? Do this, do that. It's like, no. Because when somebody asks you for to take care of them, they don't want to take care of themselves. So what if they get angry? It's the reality of things. And honestly, I get jealous, but I don't get in the jealous in sense of wanting to hurt people. I would say that really the fact that if people want to call it jealous, go ahead. But I'm not going to excuse the fact that it's more of, because you can be jealous at the same time of wanting to be accepted by people. And I know I'm working my way out of that. Quite frankly, I feel like you don't even need to go through high school to learn that shit. Because there's many things I taught myself minus going to school. I'm very honestly, I will say I made it. I graduated high school, that's enough. And that's not where a lot of my knowledge even came from, was through school. Most of it, especially my musical abilities, came through a bloodline. And bloodlines through ancestry are incredibly important to follow in your journey, in your path. If you look hard, those abilities would have gone, those gifts, meaning the skills that you've obtained, could be through your ancestry, through your family. Really, the ancestry within your family. And I've told many of you of the story of how the music abilities in me truly naturally flowed. It wasn't through it wasn't through learning music in school. It was through family. It was through opening your vision through music. Maybe not creating it right away, but what's most important is that somewhere deep down, whether you're adopted or you're biologically coming out of your mother's stomach, you're still going to obtain a gift, a useful skill, maybe even many useful skills as you grow. But it's not that I don't want to be like certain people. It really boils down to that you may not always fully want to accept somebody, but I literally, that's all I visioned it when I growing up, when my friends really, we went to different schooling systems, like a lot of that changed. But unfortunately, I was one of the people that even to this day has never changed. And that includes where I live, what I did in school. But friends, that I had, they didn't leave my life. I mean, we still know each other quite well from the past, but we're not as close. And really, I often hear people use the word neighbors a lot. Neighbors are important people to have. And for many, many things, is if you see somebody new that is just moving into the area, they're unfamiliar with, obviously they are going to be unfamiliar, maybe, they might be unfamiliar with people that have already lived on the street for long enough periods of time. But it's always good to go up and introduce yourself, tell them which house you live in, but making them feel welcomed. Rather than warning them about other people on your road, make sure they feel welcomed. That is the very first thing you want to do. And I'm going to do a tutorial video on this live, but this is a tutorial video where it is very smart when you live in an apartment and you know something in the microwave is catching fire and there's smoke. I mean, it could be something that's typically not in the mic, or you can put it in the microwave, but again, like if you burn popcorn, you're gonna for sure smell it. But they often say when you burn popcorn in an apartment, you would think it's common sense instead of opening up the door and having all the units smoke detectors go off, which is not what you want, especially if you have a pet that is sensitive to loud sounds, obnoxious sounds, that is. You crack a window instead, because that's going to send the smoke outside rather than down the hallway. But I'll show you how we'll do that in a little bit, but unfortunately we're not going to be using the microwave for this tutorial. Because, I mean, if you're purposely going out there to burn some popcorn, then yes, my smoke detector will go off. So we're gonna do something a bit easier. Instead of having a really rancid smell in the microwave, we're gonna pick a food that can have really bad scent. So that could be maybe like raw meat. Um, I don't know. Maybe like something strong like ginger. But what I'm gonna do is pretend like the microwave. I just burnt something in the microwave, like a Reese's peanut butter cup, with the styrofoam or with the tin foil still wrapped around it. Or in that case, as I said, burnt popcorn, where people often will push the microwave button for the microwavable popcorn instead of the popcorn button, and that is sometimes the screw up. Most times that is the screw up. But I thought we would kind of do this more as a practical tutorial, funny kind of video where I'll go in my room in just a few minutes, but I'm planning to get something that really has a scent, like a really foul smell. Um, I mean, I don't have any gas in my system now, so those of you that are probably on here saying you should fart in your room and stink up your room, I wish I had one coming so I could open up the window. But we're going to use a smell, and I'm going to practice to you instead of. So if you want a smell to exit the room, you don't. That's the thing, is you don't open up the door. So in a house, it's the same thing as living in an apartment. I would say if it's a foul smell that you want out of out of the apartment, you usually crack a window. If it's smoke coming out of your microwave, crack a window. Or open up the window completely to get that smoke. I mean, because you want that smoke going outside, then down the hallway where all the other smoke alarms are going to go off. Because one goes off, all of them go off. Especially if they're all wired networkly all together. They're gonna alarm all at once. But I'll go get something pretty. I mean, I could do. I don't know if we have any food that's outdated, but I'll be able to. Even if I don't pick an outdate, if we don't have any, I'll try to pick something gross. I think we have some. I don't know. My mom's pretty good about throwing or. So when you have woods at your house, you typically, like right around this time in the summer, you don't want to throw raw fruit or vegetables in the woods because it attracts bears. It would attract any kind of animal that eats fruit and vegetables. So we can't really use fruit or anything like that because we'd have to ditch it afterward. They say you can, obviously the trash is more safe. But I think maybe just for tonight we use like a strong scent like ginger, like a ginger root, or I don't know. We'll have to think. I know, or a can of tuna, but I wouldn't waste a can of tuna just for that, just for this. I think it'd have to be already something gross that needs to be thrown away. But it's going to be a tutorial of how apartments and houses should always treat if you have something burning in the microwave, popcorn, a Reese's cup, with the tin foil. We're doing that tutorial video. What?
I don't know if you want these. I got up today.
Oh, Mimi. I'm doing a live, but yeah, show me.
I'll show it to you.
Oh, it's a gnome playing guitar.
Is he cute?
Yeah. Mimi.
That.
What is that? Every note tells a story.
Yeah. Yeah, you put it with that.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's it.
Oh, that's an empty one.
You want one?
That's an Elvis one.
Oh, is that like a magnet?
Well, yeah, you're gonna put him, I think, on top of that.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
He'll stay up. I bought one for myself too.
Oh, Pima. That's funny.
Aren't they cute?
Yeah,
Look at him though. You can see.
Oh, he's so cute.
I love that. They sit right up pretty well too. Oh yeah. Then I have all these things.
Like that.
You make your own little.
Oh, what is that? Oh.
Your little room, little thing stays
Oh,
all over together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, is that Elvis?
Yeah. I think they'll sit up too. I think.
Elvis?
Yes.
Oh, those are cool.
I think. Oh yeah, that's the okay.
Yeah, he's on keyboard.
Yeah, I just remembered it. That one. Yeah, we got the. Here we go. That one.
Drums.
Yeah. Whoops.
Oh, I mean.
Oh, maybe I got him upside down. Who knows, Marianne? I don't know. Yeah, there's another one. Here's the big guy right there. And that one. That's what we're gonna. Well, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. If you put them together. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You will want them.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll put them, I'll clean it up in there so we can put a nice thing.
Oh, look at you. Look at you.
So I'll put these together.
Is he being good, Mom?
Of course he is. Yep. Hi, buddy. So, there. So that's going to go in here. Let me see. I think that goes in that one too. Yep, I can put this Elvis one in there too, I think. Yep. You want me to, so they don't get all shitted up before I take it? I can, when you're ready to put it in. Okay, because I can do that one. Okay, I'll put this one. I just like them. They're wicked cute. Let's see if I can. Yep, okay, I got it in there. Yep. Now I'll take this too. All right, buddy. All right. Can't do it. There you go. Oh my God. Well, I'm hurting.
But I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab a drink and I'll try to find something that hopefully will. What I plan to do is make sure it doesn't. Because if I do it outside, I'm at risk hitting the neighbors, but. Or at least having that smell, whatever it is. Hopefully, we can pick something that the smell won't obviously reach to that point, but we'll choose something anti-friendly. But I wish I had one coming down never mind, I'm not gonna go into detail, but I can say to my significant other because she uses the term get your big boy pants on, meaning that definitely, if you need to do something, do it. Don't wait. Don't. But again, I can definitely inform everyone here. I don't have to go to Baby Gap for my clothes. Um, so I wasn't able. Oh shit! Actually, Thor's breath is pretty rancid. But I wasn't able to find any. I mean, there's some olives in there. They're still good though. But my dad eats green olives, but they definitely. I don't like the smell of olives. That green olives, that is, but they're still good. So, but hopefully our luck will hopefully be more. We can find something tomorrow, and I can do that tutorial. But I thought I would um kind of also talk about one of my favorite scenes. Um, and actually, I mean, this goes for really an Adam Sandler movie, but there's one scene in Grown Ups 2 where he drops his kids off, or yeah, drops his kids off at school in a school bus. He hijacks his school bus, and the teacher, he's like, oh, that's right. The teacher's like, it's Wednesday, it's a half a day or something like that, because it's the end of summer. And Adam Sandler, you mean it's a half a shirt, right? Because we know you get your clothes at Baby Gap, but this guy's shirt comes up to like the rim, like right above his belly button, so he's like the shirt doesn't fit him at all. But I love that comeback though. Today is only a half a day. You mean a half a shirt, right? But that was a really awesome, funny scene. But I mean, I would hope. I mean, I did make kind of well, I did make a joke because I knew what my significant other meant about putting my big boy. I mean, really, it's a terminology and it's a definition of if you need support with something or you want to get out of something, it's best to advocate and speak to those people rather than just kind of like go with that person, or because especially if you want to make new friends and gain new friendships, like that's really one of the things you have to go with. um I will say though, again, it can also backlash at people too, and I did see that very much so with two friends of mine, and I didn't want to be a part of it, but I had to be a part, or I didn't have to be a part of it, but I really wanted to speak up and say people do the best they can to advocate for themselves, and it's not easy to do it. But I mean, that's the thing. People often like to target people, meaning that. But I will say the fact people like to target with that and like to add more to it is very hurtful, especially if you say something directly and you go ahead and do it behind somebody's back when they're not even around. And one of my bandmates did that, and he got me involved. I mean, it really started off with a friendly happy birthday, hope your day goes well. And I know Andrew. I don't know if him and Jordan ever talk. I can't remember whose, but I think it was Jordan's birthday. Um, but like Andrew and Jordan had video called, I think, each other, and and Andrew, I don't know, he got some sort of backlash from Jordan that I it did lead to Jordan and I not speaking to each other for about a week. I think it was a little over 2 weeks. And that's kind of like right when he would say stuff about Andrew without Andrew being at program, which many people in my life many people in my life that told me really the honesty with Jordan. Did I want to listen? I didn't want to listen because I thought Jordan could change. I thought he could be able to maneuver away from that, cuz people change, they don't constantly remain the same. It's like in school, right? Like you have people that you go to school with. They might be mean to you in school, but it doesn't mean they're a horrible human being. People change, and that was one of the things that I thought Jordan was able to do, is possibly change his perspective over people I was friends with, and I knew it had nothing to do with jealousy because he knew I was friends with Andrew. He knew that I talked to Andrew on a daily basis. So it was not through jealousy, period. Because I know if Jordan was out doing or had other friends, I would not be there with. I mean, that's the thing. Jordan and I mean, that's the thing. When we were friends, I never had the chance to go to his group home and visit with him or anything like that. I don't know if it had to do with any strict rules they had in that group home or what it was, but unfortunately, I lost a friend that I thought I could trust and that I thought could turn his life around. Really, that could change his perspective around towards me and towards and telling people what he felt. instead of hiding it. Because I will say, when Jordan left, I pursued that behavior. I didn't want to let people know how I was feeling. I wanted them just to hear me out of what people did to me so badly. And it shielded me away from people that I wasn't listening to, meaning that the more I was talking about other people that have gone in my life, I wasn't giving those people that were in my life any sort of like break or anything like that, and that's what really drove me over the edge. But when something like that happens, you don't stop and say to yourself, I want to follow that. Because that's the thing, Jordan also would start dragging me into things that I wanted no part of. And it's very hard when you're in a friendship like that where somebody is constantly dragging you, pulling you into positions you don't want to be in. And for me, I would knowing that friendships with me were really little growing up, that I didn't have a lot of friends, I might have not felt that immediate, pushing somebody over the edge, but I truly felt it with a friend, my first friend I ever made at this program. And it happened pretty later on. But many video chats Jordan and I had over the years were more of, how do I do this, or how you doing, how's program. But that's the thing, is if he wanted to do something fun with me, I would often have to tell him, we would have to plan it in advance. I will say Wednesday, it was extremely hard for me, or not so much hard, but I had to do the right thing and let Tim talk, Malachi out of, because that's the thing, is when you're doing a busking event, it's always important to do your part, do your role, and then if there's time at the end, you can do what you want. But Malachi wanted to. There was a booth there. It was woman and or it was a man and woman there that wanted to hear people's ghost stories, but they had a table set up, and Malachi wanted to do it. And Tim said, Malachi, I'm not saying you can't do it. We'll still have time after our performance, because it was only two songs that I wrote we were doing. Um, and so Malachi kind of had this fit of like stating, to staff that he couldn't, that, they couldn't stop him from what he wanted to do. But there's obviously our performance. Ian and I were setting up for it. We were all ready to go, and Malachi wasn't feeling wanting to perform, But Malachi's like, I get that, I get that, I get that, and we're kind of encouraging him to get behind the microphone. But I know staff kept telling him, Malachi, if you're gonna participate. Don't, because I'm never one to exclude anybody. And I never had any sense or really any frustration towards Malachi or Ian. I wanted to see my Malachi get through it, as we all did, and be able to do what he wanted to do. And it sucked when we were performing because we didn't have Malachi next to Ian. It was Ian and I and then that young man that came in. But even though Malachi had done the practice rehearsal with us, it's one thing that will distract somebody away from, and it's hard to get people back to where you want, or really where they need to be. And I was careful making sure I didn't say anything out of line that would have prevented Malachi to get angry. Instead, I was able to kind of go over the roadmap with Ian more. I had the chance to do that, get out my guitar, and but Ian, I know, was agitated. He was also waiting. We were all waiting for Malachi to hopefully come through it, but it can be harder for some people. And I know Malachi is better than that. I really do. I have faith, and I know Malachi can pull that in. Um, I could see definitely a big difference between Malachi and Jordan. Because Jordan, I know, often during practices or whatever we were doing, he would take almost all his time and be on his phone. Like, he would take phone calls and not be involved. Every like 5 minutes was a phone call. And that, I will say, ate up a lot of the time he had. But I personally, I don't know about how Jordan feels about this, but I think really the phone calls was to get him out of having to, like, I think he kind of put himself downstairs because he didn't want to have to deal with Ian, because Ian did talk. I mean, I personally know Ian, and I've known Ian an extremely long time. I know how musically inclined he is. I know the musician he's become, and I think his path is quite. It should be every day, I know, and spiritually through growth, I've seen Ian grow and develop in music, and the ability happened naturally. It happened through having faith in what Ian knows is right with music and what isn't. But Ian is somebody that's right there in the moment with whatever happens musically. And that's exactly how I am too. Ian picks that energy up from me. But again, I think it would really help the band if we had, Andrew in the band. I think Andrew also would be, as much as he's been a support for me outside a program, I think he would be able to do the same thing. If like, because the thing is, bands don't aren't necessarily going to agree on things, but I think Andrew might have definitely more of a better lead way of possibly helping Malachi overcome stuff. But I will say I don't care what staff say really about. I mean, everybody has said that between me, Ian, Malachi, Andrew, and Kyle, we all are brothers and we all have to look out for each other. Just like any kind of brotherly love. I would say even if we had a female in the band, such as Kathleen, um, Libby that goes Fridays with me and Malachi, like I think really when you start a family, the families have disagreements, but they never stop loving each other in everyday life. And one of the most important things to value but to be careful of is the way you use the word kidnap. Because kidnapping a family member, depending on how you use it, I would say you can kidnap somebody for the love you have towards many individuals or that certain person. I honestly couldn't. I mean, I wouldn't have. I honestly, as much as I love my significant other and other people, especially her, I would not. I would stop right here with what I will be saying and stating that everybody has freedom. Should it be freedom that costs their death? No, absolutely not. I forbid anything that is used as harm. I mean, for me, if somebody were to say, I'm gonna give you your fate, and they lower a gun, I'm gonna tell that person this is not freedom. This is not what I picture freedom to be. And exactly what Abigail Hernandez, she was Christian, but she also, and honestly, this is how strong people are, is, and it's one of the, probably one of the most primal survival skills you can ever be taught through being, you don't have to be religious, but knowing that you'll get out of a situation, but you have to have that action and you have to have that faith that will happen. And that's the thing is, Nate, she gained a small, probably definitely deserving connection towards Nathaniel. They both like to read. um but he started talking to her about, I don't know what it was, like different kinds of books she should check out. Um, but they developed a connection. I know it's between somebody who kidnapped her, who was an adult, and a 15-year-old girl. It blows me away how young people can have just as much as an influence on older people. honestly, to me that is a superpower. But us young folks too, like me only being in my 20s, have learned and have slowly increased, but as we learn, the more growth we produced, with ourselves, internally in ourselves. The more you listen to people, maybe that are the same age, older, whatever. I would say for me, I've learned from the best. I've learned from many people, but the best I would say is somebody that I've been with since I turned 21, and she hasn't really changed in my life ever since. She's always been the same person today, or back then, and she's the same person I know today. But my goal is really to follow two legacies of, and really teaching people what can happen. But everybody's free to do what they want, and if they don't have enough time to do that, make time to do that. I mean, especially, why not live it? Instead of thinking it, live it. If somebody tells you, right, they need Wednesday, for example, to practice a musical instrument, and you're also musical, that is an opening for not just that person, but yourself. Meaning that if you also practice musical instruments, you know, even though you may not be in I was in lessons for a while, but if you're currently in lessons, I think that's one of the best influences, is matching or a section of routine with your partner, even though you're not close to them. But having that same routine of Wednesdays, knowing when your instrumental practice comes in. But it shows growth, and that person's going to see that growth in you. You know, it's a spiritual collection, or not, it's a spiritual connection with being long distance with someone. You follow them, and they'll follow you. And if that means you have to get your big boy pants at any store other than Baby Gap, go out and do it.